Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of Talkin Ball. I'm Drew DeArmond. Scott Tyson on assignment for the rest of this week. He'll be back with us on Monday. So we're going to have a special guest host once again today. I'm back in the saddle. I was in Jacksonville, Alabama for a glorious performance from the Huntsville Crimson Panthers to reach the Elite Eight for the second straight season. Huntsville, as you may have heard on the ETV Game of the Week, our own Steve Moulton was on the call. The Crimson Panthers light up the number 4 Vestavia Hills Rebels for the second straight year, 70-42. They win to get to the Elite Eight. They will have a rematch with the Spain Park Jaguars and Chris Lash. And we'll hear from both of those coaches, Christian Swears and Coach Lash, tomorrow. But we're going to talk a lot of high school basketball today. And we want to also give a quick shout-out to Jeff Smith, the head basketball coach of the Huntsville Lady Crimson Panthers. They get to the Sweet 16. They fall short yesterday against a really good Vestavia Hills Lady Rebels team. And, of course, Jarvis Wilson over at the first-year coach of the Sparkman Senators. The ladies have a great year in his first season, but they fall short in the Sweet 16 as well to a really good Hewitt Trustville team. But a shout-out to both of those teams for their great years. But the Huntsville Crimson Panthers, Monday, 10:45 a.m., a Final Four berth on the line, as they will have a rematch of the regional final that Spain Park won last year at Jacksonville State, 51-50. So it's going to be some great basketball, and more great basketball tonight and today. This morning is hopefully the weather is going to not be a huge factor, but this afternoon. But they're going to get underway, the 7As, which will be James Clemens, and the Jets, and Frankie Sullivan was on the show yesterday. They are going to get underway today. And, of course, Major Deacons, Austin Black Bears. They're both taking the court in the 7A action. So we're going to be monitoring a lot of that. Tim Miller's Hazel Green Lady Trojans will be playing as well. Tomorrow, and the Hazel Green boys, and we're going to talk to Coach Jeremy Crutcher here in this first hour and talk some Trojan basketball. But Hazel Green, very high expectations with the ladies, going for 5 straight state titles, and Jeremy Crutcher's group, 8 seniors, trying to reach the Final Four as well. And as I said, joined by guest host Freddie Kirby of Southeastern Recruiting. Freddie, how are you, man?
Doing just fine, and this is not a signing day. I'm not used to being here when there's not a signing day involved.
Right.
And everything, but thanks for the invite to be on the show today. And I'll contribute a little bit here and there, but I'm going to kind of let you run the ship today.
Well, yeah, but again, I know you follow the high school basketball scene very closely as well. You have several clients and young ladies and guys that are part of Southeastern that you guys are helping get to the college level. And it's very important right now because the transfer portal has changed everything a lot of times in recruiting. And what you guys do over in Russellville at Southeastern with Glenn Jackson and yourself makes you guys play an even more pivotal role in some ways because of the domino effect of how recruiting has evolved.
Very much so, because with the transfer portal, as you mentioned earlier and everything, a lot of your major colleges and stuff are starting with your high school elite players. Then the next step is transfer portal. And then it goes down to JUCO, and then it comes down to the middle class high school players, what I normally call them and everything. The kid could go either direction. And it's good that we call all the branches covered at all different levels to make sure that they don't get left out.
Absolutely. And so, it was some great action over at Jacksonville State yesterday, and we will be taking in some action hopefully over at Wallace State today as well. As we said, the James Clemens Jets get ready to take the floor this afternoon against the Thompson Warriors. Actually, they're taking the court at 10:30, and then Major Deacons Austin Black Bears will be taking on the Oak Mountain Eagles. That'll be a huge challenge. Oak Mountain and Chris Love, they are the defending 7A champions, a 2-time Final Four participant as they reached the Final Four, beating Sparkman a couple of years ago after eliminating the Huntsville Crimson Panthers. And, of course, Will Shaver no longer with Oak Mountain. He's redshirting at North Carolina with Hubert Davis. He started his career early, but that senior class is still very talented, and Oak Mountain looking to reach the Final Four again, but they got to get through Austin and potentially a very talented James Clemens Jets team. But Drew Powell will have something to say about that with the Thompson Warriors as well. So we're going to talk a lot of high school basketball today, but you can give us a call, 256-576-4977 if you have some high school basketball thoughts. If you have thoughts about the SEC, an interesting win for Alabama last night. Not their most complete effort. I didn't think the defensive end of the floor was very good for much of the game. Keon Ellis struggled, probably had his worst game in an Alabama uniform, yet Alabama overcomes that. J.D. Davison with 10 rebounds to lead the squad, had a solid outing, but of course they were led by Darius Miles coming off the bench. Really, it was an unusual game because the usual suspects for Alabama did not have the kind of games you're accustomed to. But Alabama found a way to win. They were able to scrap. They were able to out-rebound Mississippi State this time, which I thought was huge, by 12 because they got beat on the offensive glass severely the first time down the stretch, which allowed Mississippi State to eke out a 78-76 win. It was 80-75. Mississippi State definitely gave Alabama all they wanted, but the Tide got a huge win that's going to put them in position down the stretch to solidify a good seed in the NCAA tournament if they can, at the very least, protect their home floor. Now they head to Rupp Arena in Lexington to get a pissed-off bunch of Wildcats. And speaking of the Wildcats, Jeff from the Borough is waiting to join the show on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jeff, how are you?
Pretty good. I don't know how mad they are, but I'm sure Tennessee was before that game. So, but I don't know how mad they are, but they just got to go in and play. Hopefully they won't get one loss turned to two. So hopefully, but
they're still in one seed right now, man. They're still in real good shape.
Well, I mean, I don't worry about all that stuff. They just got to play. They can't. They're 20-5. They're going to be in the tournament. They just got to get as many wins as they can get them. I'd like to beat Tennessee and Knoxville. They just didn't do it. So they should have lost worse than what they lost. I mean, they should have been about 30. But Mississippi State, I watched that game last night. It was bad offense and bad offense. Guys throwing up 30-footers. And I don't know why these guards can't drive the basket and try to get to the rim. I guess they want to shoot 40-footers and throw up bricks and build mansions, I reckon. That's you think they do, Drew?
Well, I thought the officiating was quite atrocious, honestly. I thought Alabama tried to drive to the basket, got accosted like they were thrown into the stanchion a few times, and the referees swallowed their whistles and then called touch fouls on Alabama on the other end. But that's where we are in collegiate officiating. You just have to overcome it. It's not very good. I think you would agree with me on that in some ways. I do think that Alabama did a nice job of playing through it. And really, I'm not going to complain about Nate Oates being thrown out of the game because, I mean, he just kept chirping. And in a way, I think it was strategic because if you were watching the game, and you said you saw a lot of it, Jeff, Alabama at the time he was ejected was not playing well.
They were behind him.
Yeah, they were flat, and they weren't playing with a ton of energy, and I think he was trying to spark his team, and so it worked.
Oh, yeah, I think, you're probably right. I mean,
Calipari's done that, yeah.
And Calipari did it one time in Arkansas. They weren't playing too good. He got kicked out. I think they went on 15-2, whatever it was, and beat Arkansas at Arkansas. So
yeah,
that's happened in the past. But what about old Brucey boy getting one last night?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I mean,
if you had Pearl and Oates in your SEC league, you'd have been pretty good last night, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, Auburn came out flat too. They were down 11-0, but they're so deep and talented. I mean, and then if Jabari Smith goes off for 31, you ain't got a prayer. And
that's true. I mean,
he had the best game of his Auburn career, which has been a great 1 year so far. But I mean, he and Kessler had 22, and we already know the kind of defensive player Walker is. So when those two dudes are combining for 53 points, Auburn's going to win.
Yeah, one final thing I want to ask you: did you see this mess that Conference USA's in?
About all the squads leaving?
No, not all of them. Six of them.
Yeah.
Are staying in one more year and buying the contract. Three of them want to leave. They
want to leave early. Yeah.
At first they said 2023. Now they want to leave early.
Right.
So Conference USA a couple of days ago released the conference football schedules with them in it. So now they've got a legal fight on their hands. Conference USA says they're going to take every legal means necessary. I hope they do. And one guy said up here said they probably will because the schools, Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss, ain't got all this money to fight them. So I hope they take every legal means necessary to keep them in. Myself, I don't know how you feel about it. I'm sure you don't really matter if I want to leave early, but I think they'll live up to the letter of the law. If they write these bylaws and the schools agree to them, then they want to break it. I'll just hang and get your thoughts on that. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
I think, I was going to get Freddie's thoughts, but I'll just mine real quick is I just think that overall, if a school wants to leave, to me this is posturing. I think they're negotiating. I think they're going to try to get the cost down and then try to leave. But if they make them stay, either way, they're going to go eventually. But if a school wants to leave and then you can make something monetarily for your Conference USA, I don't know why you don't just do it. Freddie, your thoughts?
Well, it's a sign of things that's fixing to start happening in college sports. And because people might as well get ready because there's fixing to be a lot of jumping. Because eventually, in the not-too-distant future, the Power Five is going to pull out to themselves. And they're not going to be under NCAA regulations anymore and everything. And when that happens, I think they'll go to 16 teams apiece in each conference, which for 80 teams. And when that happens, whoever's left over will become the FBS. And you're going to see a lot of posturing for teams to try to jump into the FBS to go along with your Southern Misses, Tulanes, and people like it if they don't get in the Power Five. And then you're going to have teams like a large Division II jumping up to FCS, and you're going to have JUCOs even jumping into small D1s.
Well, I mean, speaking of Jacksonville State, I mean, and you've had clients and kids that you were with your service that have gone there, and of course, you're familiar with the landscape there. Your thoughts on them? You're talking about jumping. I mean, they've jumped, from the Ohio Valley to the ASUN, and now it looks like the Conference USA. So your thoughts?
They're
on
all
that?
trying to posture to get into a conference they think is going to succeed, and some of these. Case in point, I think you're going to see some of these NAIA schools, and there may not even be an NAIA division come 5 years from now. And everybody's going to try to get into NCAA conferences. And then I think I missed I think I said large JUCOs jumping D1. I'm talking about jumping to 4-year schools.
Yeah.
And but especially a lot of your NAIA schools, like you just seen Martin Methodist up the road here jump from NAIA to UT Southern. It's going to change their name in preparation to become an NCAA school. And you're going to see a lot more of that in the coming future.
Does that help Southeastern with your the young people that are with your service in a way? Because, of course, they want to play at a school that's an NCAA level school or, and move. And anytime you move up from NAIA to Division II or make that jump, you would think that it would make the option more attractive. How does that affect your business?
It makes it more attractive, but also there's a branch there that, like in NAIA right now, they don't have a set amount of scholarships. They have X amount of dollars that they're allowed to use.
I got you.
And case in point, they may be able to get 10 kids a year off that X amount of dollars. Where if they jump into Division II and like Les Studeman over UAH, then you got to deal with 7.2 scholarships to get your whole team. And it makes a big difference when you got less dollars to work with, and you got to learn how to manufacture it and still get great players. She's done a phenomenal job at UAH over the years, and in my opinion, could have easily been a D1 coach along the way. Chose to be a legend at the program she started, and I think we even got her brother coming on later on in the show and everything. But she's a legend in the Huntsville area, and she's a lady they need to build a statue over her for her name and everything because she took that program from nothing to the top.
Yeah, she really. I was just telling somebody about Coach Studeman yesterday, and I said Les Studeman has done everything at UAH but win the national title, and she's come close to doing that on multiple occasions. So what she has done is remarkable, and that she has stayed is remarkable. Because I think she's probably had other opportunities with as many games as she's won in her storied career. But she has built arguably the most consistent program in Division II softball.
Well, she may whoop me because sometimes when I'm in a house and everything, I tell everybody, in my opinion, she's the Pat Summitt of D2 softball.
There you go.
And
can't go any higher than that.
And but I said she's going to instill discipline in you. She's going to coach you tough, but she's going to make you mentally tough to the point where she can put you in that batter's box for the national championship, and that stage ain't too big for you. That's what kind of coach she is. And that's the reason she's so successful. And every year she's going to be in contention for the national championship because she recruits so well.
Yeah. And to a school which is such a great academic institution, which sometimes when you don't have some academic, when you have the restrictions, it can be tougher, but she knows how to recruit the right student athletes to fit her program. She's just done a remarkable Hall of Fame job starting that program from scratch and making it what it is, which is really one of the shining beacons along with UAH men's basketball. Of course, the UAH athletic program is getting stronger every day under Kate Smith, but just an amazing run for softball and Coach Studeman. And we know what our good friend Lenny Acuff did there in 22 years before going to Lipscomb. So, but remarkable. And John Schulman carrying the torch right now. UAH, a heartbreaking, speaking of that, 69-68. Heartbreaking loss at West Alabama last night. They came back late, had an 8-point lead at halftime, had the ball, got 2 shots to win the game last night. If you were listening to Steve Moulton, I'm sure everyone was, and Scott Tyson, just a heartbreaking loss for Coach John Schulman. They almost got another road win, which were like heaven, as Coach Schulman likes to say, and he, of course, joined the show yesterday to preview that contest, and, of course, they've got they're at West Georgia, I believe, this weekend. So, a road swing for UAH is then they're rapidly approaching is that 3-game homestand at the end, where UAH is going to try to get into the conference tournament and make another run in postseason. But Coach Schulman, the youngest team in the GSC, no seniors on his squad, and they've had a really good year, Freddie.
Yeah, and when you're talking road games in the Gulf South Conference, that's like road games in the SEC. Yeah, and of course I don't know what Steve's been doing this year without being able to say Seth Suave and everything, because I gave him a little bit of a hard time on that young man and everything, but he had a great career there and everything. And I hadn't been able to make it out to see a UAH game, but I have listened to Steve and him on the radio, and they have some very entertaining games.
Yes, they really do. And speaking of entertaining and speaking of big games, there's going to be a couple for Hazel Green tomorrow, but one of them is going to be the Hazel Green boys, and they're going to take on, as you mentioned earlier, Stu Studeman, the brother of Les Studeman. He's in his first year with the Coleman Bearcats. They've had an outstanding year in year one for him there, and they are going to take on the Hazel Green Trojans, that boys program, and we're going to join Jeremy Crutcher after this break and talk some Hazel Green Trojans boys basketball when you stay with us here on Talkin Ball.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. Still all clear accident-wise this morning. Traffic level heavy all across the valley. You definitely want to be on your toes. Try to get out the door early if you can. You might need the time before the morning wraps up. Our officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Move over. It's the law, you know. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Joe Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan left Americans behind and cost the lives of 13 service members. Black Hawk Down veteran Mike Durant is alive today because his brothers refused to leave him behind. Durant has had it with the career politicians.
Why does Joe Biden disgust me? 13 dead in Afghanistan. 13 more Gold Star families because of him. Biden has spent his whole life in politics. And when our men and women came home draped in the flag, he had somewhere else he wanted to be. Time's up for Joe Biden.
President Biden is the one that deserves the shame. He's more concerned about his watch.
He obviously was doing the motion of checking his watch. I saw it.
Many of them said he didn't just do it once. He did it with almost every single family.
Send Joe Biden a message. Vote Mike Durant in the Republican primary.
I'm Mike Durant, a candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Durant for Senate.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Alabama A&M University football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com and view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see ya in the Kia. Go Bulldogs!
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is your big game headquarters all fall long. And with our new fall features, every day is game day at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Try our pregame starters, including our homemade onion strings, always fresh hot lips, and our all-new Buffalo Dippin' Chicken appetizer. Our main events include incredible chicken, fish, and shrimp selections, always featuring local Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget our Sunday Blitz, 11 to 6. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. Still a place to call for your installation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatewitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Welcome back to Talkin Ball. Drew DeArmond with special guest host Freddie Kirby. We're going to talk a lot of high school basketball, as we said, coming up, because there's a lot of area teams fighting to get to Birmingham, to the Final Four, and one of those is one of the most experienced teams in our area. 8 seniors, a team that since this summer, I think everyone knew they had a chance to go on a run like this. They win their area for the second straight season. Their head coach is in his 4th season and has done a remarkable job rebuilding his alma mater into the power that Hazel Green likes to, be. And that, of course, basketball is very important there. It always has been. And of course, they went on a Final Four run with Kyra Lewis, who's now in the NBA and recovering. Saw Kyra the other day at the Huntsville High area championship game. Great to see him, and he's a great and proud Trojan. And so is our next guest. He is the head basketball coach, and it's Jeremy Crutcher, and he's been good enough to join us for a few minutes to preview this game coming up tomorrow as they will take on the Coleman Bearcats at 1:30 over at Wallace State Hansville. Coach, it's great to speak with you again. You're with Drew and Freddie this morning. How are you?
Hey, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. Look forward to chatting a little bit about ball and talking about Hazel Green basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great, man. I know you had a lot of high expectations for this group. You played a really difficult schedule. You played a difficult one in the summer. You played a difficult one this fall into the winter. And certainly, but right now, I've always said this, and I admire coaches who take on a difficult schedule, because that's what prepares you for this time of year. The record doesn't matter. It matters where you advance and where you, of course, at the end of the year, okay, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, that's all that matters. But your squad seems to really be playing their best basketball, and I thought we got a chance to watch it on online over in Jacksonville, but it was a tough game, as we figured it would be, in your sub-regional at home against Buckhorn. They had beaten you, I believe, you guys went on the road there and lost a really tight game maybe about a week and a half ago. But you guys had a great fourth quarter and really put away a solid Buckhorn team.
Absolutely. Schedule-wise, we try to prepare. And that's what our guys. It's what we try to get our guys to understand all year. We're preparing for this moment. Going down the stretch, being put in difficult environments, playing difficult teams, well-coached teams. And Buckhorn, they were a very tough team to face at that time in the postseason. Very well coached, young guys, but very athletic, and guys that know how to play basketball. So we were proud of our team, and really excited about the opportunity to move on to the Sweet 16 and play at Wallace State.
Well, and the good thing about playing a team like Buckhorn, a lot of times in Patrick Carding's first year, they've tried to control the pace. They've played a little bit slower tempo, but it looks like your guys, and certainly you beat Huntsville High earlier in the year over at Hazel Green, but you're comfortable playing either fast or slow with this group.
Absolutely. We've played so many teams that have different styles, slow it down, play in the half court, or speed it up because we've got a lot of athletes as well. That's one of our strengths is we can play either style and win playing either style as well. A really good team in Micah James Clemens, having the opportunity to play them middle of the year was a huge test for us, and they force you to play fast and score a lot of points. And I was actually surprised. We were able to get a win that high of a scoring game, being in the 70s. But we can play, in the half court as well. That's been our focus lately, is being able to execute, and I'm just proud of the guys and being able to be coached to do that.
And Coach, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about what with this senior group. You have such an experienced team, but what has pleased you the most about their development? Sometimes when you have a senior team, they can be worried about other things, like of course the next level. But these guys seem to be bought in and locked in to going on a run. You've talked about that throughout, both with us and on social media, about being ready to make a run to get back to where they were just a few short years ago, where they got to the Final Four. But talk about this group and what's pleased you the most about them.
What's been most impressive is I've had my 5 starters are all seniors, and I've had all of them 4 years. So when I came in, I really wanted to focus on the young guys I would have in the future that I would have the opportunity to develop. They've bought into everything I've asked from a developmental standpoint, learning the game, their character, carrying themselves the right way. All 5 of those starters will go to the next level, whether it be football, basketball, or one is in a ministry. He's very focused, with his religion now. So they're a diverse group, and they're very unselfish. And that's been the key for us when we've won games and won big games, is our guys focus in and don't care who gets the credit. And when we're like that, we're a really good team. And so that's probably been the most impressive thing about my senior group.
Yeah, Coach, this is Freddie. I got to see you in action against Ramsey in the N2 hoops a year ago and everything. And what I seen that day that really got my attention and everything was how intense you coach your players and how accountable they hold each other in the games and everything. I really like the discipline that you bring to your team.
Yes, sir. That's main things with us. I'm very blessed to have a group that allows me to coach them hard. Their parents allow me to coach them hard, and that trickles over into them to where, now having an older, experienced group, they hold one another accountable. And player-led teams are teams that can travel a long way, especially in the postseason. So discipline is a key in our program. We not just on the basketball court, off the court, in the classroom, in the community, carrying yourself the right way. We try to really preach that.
And we're talking to Jeremy Crutcher, 4th-year head basketball coach of the Hazel Green Trojans, 2-time 6A Area 16 champions, and now headed to the Sweet 16, to the regionals of Wallace State, Hanceville. And I think you know what you're facing when it comes with the Coleman Bearcats. They're a squad. I don't think you faced them during the regular season. We haven't seen them too much over in North Alabama. They've played games in Birmingham. They've played over in West Alabama. Of course, they played in their area. They did come over to Madison Academy. They dropped a game to the Mustangs, but their playing style is much like Huntsville High and Mountain Brook, of course, than the Mentors Force 2 student are Bucky McMillan and Christian Swears. But so you played against Huntsville, so that I would think that should help your squad somewhat with what you're going to see and what you've probably studied on film with Coleman.
Absolutely. Coach Stu does a great job. He's a part of that coaching tree that comes from Coach McMillan that was down at Mountain Brook. They are similar to Huntsville High in that they frequently sub. They press you the whole game. They speed up the tempo. They shoot high percentage shots, and then they shoot a lot of 3-point shots as well. They're a good team. They're a really good team. We've tried to do our best all year in playing teams that force you or try to force you to speed up. We want to be able to control the pace, not turn the basketball over, and then probably kind of try to force them to play in the half court. So we think we've seen similar teams, but at the same time, it's postseason play, and they're very well coached. They'll be prepared. They'll be hyped for the game. They'll be excited for the opportunity just as we will be. So we've got to come ready to play. The energy they play with is something that really sticks out about this team.
No question about it. But what sticks out about yours? Some grown men, a lot of some outstanding size, led by T.I. Scruggs and Jalen Curry, two of the better players in this area, no doubt about it. And then another thing, Coach, and I'm going to laud you and your staff, is the well-rounded approach to these young men. They've all done the job in the classroom, which is great to see. And as you said, they're going to have a lot of options, these seniors, to move on to the next level and potentially play college basketball.
Absolutely. T.I., Jalen, Rashawn, three guys that I know will have an opportunity to go play basketball at the next level have been a pleasure to coach. They're great, outstanding kids, and they look to just come in every day and get better. We really ride that three-headed monster per se. Three guys that are in double figures, and I'm excited about them. Those guys are bought in. Those guys have come in, and I'd say 4 years ago, I'm not sure that I would have looked at any one of them and been like, I know you'll play at the next level. So that's a credit to, the work they've put in. We're going to do our job on the coaching side, but, those kids have bought in. They've worked relentlessly. They studied the game. And this year they've had a solid senior year to put themselves in position. So I'm really proud of those three for sure, but all of the guys, just, following them. They lead as well. I've got a little leaders text group, and I'll send them stuff every day, as much as I can. They've got to lead. You have to lead, and the guys on the team respect them enough to follow them, and I'm proud of those guys.
Yeah, Coach, the other day I went over to Calhoun Community College and sat down with Coach Derek Powell, the new men's basketball coach over there, and I brought him to Huntsville. Me and Drew sat down, and Drew gave him several kids from the Huntsville area that he might want to entertain bringing into Calhoun to start their program up. And he mentioned 2 or 3 of your kids to him, and hopefully he's been by or contacted you to see him. But he was getting ambushed that day with several phone calls about young men and everything. But I want to let you know we are promoting your kids out here a little bit and trying to get them opportunities down the road.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that. I've talked to Coach Powell quite a bit, even when he was at Tuskegee prior to accepting the job here at Calhoun. He was interested in Jalen Curry. And so I spoke to him about T.I. and Rashawn as well. But I'm very excited that he's here at Calhoun now and that he's actively got working and looking to build his program. I appreciate you guys promoting some of my guys. I think those guys would be great fits to start a program back per se, because they have the ability to be really coached, and they're going to do the right thing as often as possible. But I appreciate you guys.
Oh, no question, Coach, and you've done it the right way. And the thing is, what we were telling Coach Powell, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this as a whole, the health of basketball in Madison County and North Alabama, I think is, I've never seen it better. I think there's a lot of talent here, and especially a lot of talent that can play on the JUCO level and potentially move up. I just think right now, if you're going to start a program at Calhoun, the timing is really good. There's a lot of local flavor and a lot of local talent that could potentially get that program off to a quick start.
Absolutely, 100% agree. I was talking to Coach Powell and just telling him, man, you are coming to a hotbed area for talent. And it's going to be hard for him to pick the guys that he feels will best help him develop his program. But in our area, there's talent at every school, and the way college basketball is set up now with he'll end up with talent that probably 5 or 6 years ago went, Division I, Division II level, that now have to end up going junior college for a year or two to put them in position to go up, because a lot of these schools are choosing kids from the transfer portal or prep school and things of that nature, or older kids that have the experience. And so he'll get a lot of great high school players that'll be talented. And so he's in a hotbed for sure. Alabama basketball, Huntsville basketball for sure is in a good space across the board.
And, Coach, I'd be remiss before we talk a little bit more about Coleman in our last few minutes with you, though. With this season you've had and repeating as area champions, I'd like you to laud your staff, too. Certainly you have a great coaching staff, and your assistants do a great job. You've got a mix of young youth and experience on your coaching staff, but talk about the assistant coaches that have done a remarkable job for you in helping you go on a run this year.
So I've got 4 assistant coaches. My primary varsity assistant is Coach Will Martin. He was on the staff that went to the state tournament 4 years ago. He's really good. He's a guy that, without him it'd be tough for me, because he's not a yes guy. He's going to spit his ideas. He's going to tell me the truth. He's going to, as they say, keep it 100 with me all the time. That's Coach Martin. And he's very helpful, big film guy, loves the game, loves to be around the guys. Next, I have Shane Reed. He came in a role this year, primarily coaching our JV, but he has varsity head coaching experience, about 7 or 8 years prior to being here at Hazel Green. He also was on staff that went to the Final Four back when Kyra Lewis and Coach Anderson were here. Next, I have Coach Perry. I've known Grant his whole life. He's great. Grant has a bright future in coaching. He's very knowledgeable, relates to players very, very well, spends a ton of time in the gym, and he just loves basketball. Grant and I get along very well. He's a young dude, but, we really, really love the game, probably on an equal level. And then lastly, I have my younger brother. Also, Grant went to the Final Four. He was on that team.
Yes, he was. I was going to say.
Kyra.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's already out of college and coaching. We always joke. I always tell him, like, okay, are you still playing with the guys, and do you teach them how to shoot?
Yeah, absolutely. Grant, I still try to play. I'm getting old, but I'm trying to stay in shape. So Grant and I will get on the same team. And we'll beat up on the guys pretty good. Grant can still shoot it with the best of them. We play in leagues and everything together. So, yeah, he's still doing it. Lastly, Coach, I have my strength coach is actually my younger brother. He got certified 3 or 4 years ago when I first got the job here. And he's a very important piece, a huge integral piece to our program, focusing weight, focusing on nutrition, all of that good stuff. So when people look at our players and their bodies and how they've developed and how we're strong, a lot of that I have to credit to him. He spends countless hours doing research, doing everything he can to prep those guys. And Cash actually had state experience back in 2012. He was on the team that Coach Todd Jeffers was the head coach of, with Lewis Sullivan and Ethan Stair, Austin Dempsey, who is now our middle school coach. So,
oh, nice.
We've got a great line of former state guys, and I tell you, I couldn't be in a better spot with my staff. And and the help I'm receiving, from the top to bottom, being middle school for us as well.
Oh, yeah. Todd Jefferson now part of the Huntsville High staff, but, boy, he did a great job at Hazel Green. I remember that run, nearly winning a state championship, losing a narrow state final over there in Birmingham. But, Coach, as we're finishing up with you the last couple of minutes, what's going to be the key to beating this really talented Coleman team? Got some experience themselves, and as you already spoke about stylistically, a lot like Mountain Brook and Huntsville.
I think you have to match their energy or have more, number one, because they thrive off of energy. They're going to have their fan base there. We'll have to match that. We'll have to be tough. We got to win 50-50 balls. We have to win the rebounding number. We have to just be tough. And then the last thing is not turn the ball over, especially not live ball turnovers. They thrive off of turning you over, getting out, getting layups, getting fouled, getting wide open three-point shots. So that's been our focus here the last few days, making sure we're ready from a standpoint of taking care of the basketball. You have to do that in postseason.
You certainly do. The Lady Trojans will take the floor at noon at Wallace State, and as we said, 1:30 to finish the first session. The Trojans of Hazel Green and Jeremy Crutcher taking on the Coleman Bearcats. Should be a live crowd over there tomorrow at Wallace State, Hanceville. And, Coach, we appreciate the time and talking some Trojan basketball this morning. We're looking forward to being there and seeing that game. Should be an outstanding atmosphere. Congratulations on the run for your squad so far. Hopefully continued success. But, again, we always appreciate your time and talking some Trojan basketball.
Absolutely, Drew. I always appreciate it. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to be on. And, Freddie, it was great talking to you. And thanks for bringing up that old Ramsey game and putting that back in my mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Drew took us over in the old gym and everything. Had me and his brother doing the running stats and everything. But it kind of brought to life for me a side of basketball I hadn't seen in a while. And I really enjoyed the way you coached your team.
Thanks, Coach. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. That's Jeremy Crutcher. We appreciate him joining us. We're going to go on a break, wrap up hour number 1 of Talkin Ball here on this Thursday.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck coming out of Limestone County, 72 and East Limestone Road, overturned vehicle, but we're getting an update that says the driver crawled out of the vehicle and has fled on foot. Everything else looks good this morning. I don't see any other snags. You be careful on your ride in. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for info on the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000 square foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back. We're wrapping up hour number 1. We really want to appreciate Jeremy Crutcher getting up with us and sharing some knowledge on Hazel Green boys basketball. As we said, 1:30 Wallace State Hanceville tomorrow against Stu Studeman's Coleman Bearcats, and we will talk to Coach Studeman. He's going to give us some time around 8:25 in the second hour, and we'll talk some Bearcat basketball. It's been a while since we've had Coach Stu on. He, of course, spent a year at Grissom, did a nice job there, and went back to Mountain Brook and helped Tyler Davis do a great job of winning a state title in his first year, replacing Bucky McMillan last season. Mountain Brook on another run, but Stu, of course, went back to Mountain Brook, much like Christian Swears, and helped that program remain one of the elite ones in all of the state of Alabama and really in the United States. But certainly Stu Studeman's had a great career. I also had stops at Greenville High School where he rebuilt that program. So going to be great to talk to a guy that like him plays. He coaches with a lot of energy. His kids are going to play with, as he calls it, chaos. That's what they try to create at Coleman, and we're looking forward to talking some Bearcat basketball in hour 2. We're also going to talk to Blake Lovell coming up in a few minutes and talk about the SEC. And Freddie, we were talking about that last night. Charles Bediako, though, really the story for Alabama. 15 points, 5 rebounds. I think he ended up with 6 blocks. He's really improved in the last couple of weeks. And down the stretch, if Alabama's to go on a run and potentially reach the second weekend of the NCAA tournament or make a run in Tampa at the SEC tournament, Bediako is going to be a key.
He's got to be. And because he's a rim protector, he's got to be offensive-minded. And the last 3 games, he's really took a step above where he's been in confidence on the floor. He's starting to score more. I think the game this Saturday going against the big boy from Kentucky, and I think if he has a really good day that day and everything, I think it could really take him to even further in his development.
Well, it could. I mean, and of course, he does a great job around the rim. Still needs to probably work on his footwork a little bit more, have a go-to move, but he can certainly finish. They do a great job finding him in pick and rolls and finding him above the rim. J.D. Davison did a nice job of that last night. Javon Quinterly as well. Javon Quinterly had one of his better games and really was the leading scorer for Alabama. We haven't mentioned him yet, but he really bounced back from a tough evening in their previous ball game. Despite the fact that Alabama won that game against Arkansas, he struggled from the field in that game, but last night got his rhythm going early. And when JQ makes threes, especially if he can get off early, he usually ends up playing well, and he did. He made 3 threes, shot 8 of 16 overall, had a game-high 21 for the Tide. But again, as we said, Charles Bediako, 6 of 7 from the floor, 15 and 5. Jaden Shackelford, not a great shooting game, 0 for 6 from 3, 5 of 15 overall, 12 points. But and then they had, but as Freddie mentioned earlier, the big key down the stretch, especially in the game, Darius Miles, 21 minutes, but 12 points, 7 rebounds, a huge dunk to basically help seal it, and then 2 big free throws. He made the last 2 free throws of the game, turning it into a 2-possession contest where basically Mississippi State was not going to have enough time to come back. But it was a big win for Alabama. They go to 17-9. They've won 3 straight SEC games. They're back above 500 in the Southeastern Conference. They're 7-6 overall. And we talked about Auburn, Jabari Smith. I mean, are you kidding me? I would pick him first.
Number 1 player in the country.
I mean, you have to. I mean, come on. Chet Holmgren is really talented. And everybody knows what I think of Duke. Paolo Banchero, he's a great player too, but I'm sorry, I would pick Jabari Smith, and because just simply 2 years ago he was 6'6.5", and now he's 6'10". He's just really starting to scratch the surface on how good he can be. I think I agree with you, Freddie, 100%. I think he's the best player in America. He's tremendous. I mean, last night a season high 31 points, 7 of 10 from 3. I mean, if he's shooting like that, you have no chance.
Well, Vanderbilt was actually in a close ball game until he took it over.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit, I think, 2 or 3 threes right in a row that made a 5-point game a 14-point game.
Right. And then Walker Kessler, 22 points, 7 rebounds, and Freddie and 7 blocks. Nearly another triple-double for Walker Kessler. What in the hell was North Carolina doing? That's all I want to know. I don't know why he wasn't playing last year.
I know they're saying the 2 guys that were ahead of him there were very good ball players, and I think they said even pros. But how do you keep that off the floor? And we seen him play right here in Huntsville and everything with Woodward Academy out of College Park, Georgia. And the kid, his timing, he blocked so many balls, I should say, with his left hand and everything, which is the best way to do it. That way you stay away from a lot of fouls. Because if you swing that right hand, a lot of times they're going to call it. And he's very, very smart, and he's got just enough of a perimeter game that they have to honor it and everything. And plus, but under that goal, he is a true rim protector, and he makes you adjust your shot quite a bit.
He is. He is absolutely. I mean, he is the defensive player of the year, not just in the SEC. I think in all of college basketball. I mean, with how many shots he's blocked, the difference he has made for Auburn. You take him out of that lineup, even with a great player like Jabari Smith, it's a completely different team, Freddie.
Did I not see a stat last night or something about there's like only 3 SEC teams that's got more blocks than he does?
He's got more blocks than over 300 of them. I mean, it's amazing what Walker Kessler has done. And I'm like you. I saw him come to Huntsville High with the Woodward Academy. I mean, the guy, and you could tell, I mean, that he had skills. He got in foul trouble in that game, so he wasn't on the floor a lot at times. But, again, you could see it. You just can't coach the size. And then you know his bloodlines are amazing, and they all went to Georgia, and that's why Tom Crean's fired. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't get a kid like that in your program because they're not confident enough in you as a coach. And speaking of that, they just got shellacked by Western Union last night, a.k.a. LSU. So the struggles continue for – I think 26 turnovers or so for Georgia last night. Georgia basketball, this ain't Kirby. So there won't be a freeze warning in basketball unless you just want to not come watch it, and I wouldn't blame you. But Georgia losing 84-65, and it really wasn't that close. But as we said, 94-80, Auburn getting a big home win over Vanderbilt, and Alabama 80-75 inside Coleman Coliseum to win 3 straight SEC games. And then the results from Tuesday, and I'm sure they went over that on the Talkin Ball yesterday, but to reiterate, buzzer beater for Frank Martin's South Carolina squad, 77-74 against the Ole Miss Rebels in the Pavilion as Kermit Davis's squad continues to struggle. Finally getting off the snide after losing 8 in a row, Texas A&M 56-55 over Mike White's Florida Gators, and that knocked Mike White's Gators, Freddie, off the bubble.
Yeah, it knocked him off the bubble and put him on an extreme hot seat too, and because the Florida faithful and everything, they're very proud of their basketball program, going all the way back to the Billy Donovan days. And I don't think they're very happy right at this moment.
No, but it's impossible almost to replace a legend like Billy Donovan that Mike White took on. And he's had a good program, just not to the level that I think Gator fans were accustomed. Tennessee shellacking Kentucky 76-63 in that rematch.
I want to say something there.
Yes.
I watched that game quite a bit and everything, and I watched Tennessee the last couple games. They have changed their offensive attack to a 3-guard attack, and that has really made them take off. And they're a lot more explosive. They're getting to the rim a lot more, and it's opening up a lot of threes for Vescovi and everything. And you got 2 big men down low, but they went from 3 bigs to 3 guards, and they're a lot more explosive.
And then Arkansas bouncing back from that Alabama loss by impressively going to Missouri and winning 76-57. So Eric Musselman's squad staying hot. And speaking of those in the SEC, we're going to talk to Blake Lovell coming up of Southeastern 14. We're going to get his thoughts on the Southeastern Conference. Is there some separation now? Is Florida the last team in the SEC that has a shot to potentially get a 7th bid? Looks like they've got 6 solidly in. They could get half of the conference in the NCAA tournament. But Billy Donovan, there you go, I knew I'd do that. Mike White's Gators have to turn it up and finish strong. And they've got a tough schedule coming up. We'll talk about that with Blake, and we'll talk about more SEC hoops, because I still think the Big 12 and the SEC are the 2 best leagues. Certainly in that SEC Big 12 Challenge, the Southeastern Conference made a statement, but I was watching some of the Big 12 last night. Really good basketball. Watched Texas Tech beat a really good Baylor team that Alabama already beat. So this is the great time of year in basketball. In high school, you got playoffs, you got sub-regionals, regionals, and then the Final Four in Birmingham, and then you got the final stretch of the SEC before Tampa and the SEC tournament, and then March Madness that everybody loves. It will be here before you know it, and we're going to talk to Blake Lovell next. Hour number 2 on this Thursday coming up, Talkin Ball. Drew DeArmond with special guest host Freddie Kirby.
I miss my baby, someone stole my baby. By the way, my baby is my landscaping truck that was literally stolen from a job site. Baby, won't you please come home?
Owning a small business isn't always as lovely as it sounds, but with 30-plus customizable coverage options, Progressive Commercial keeps your business humming along. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com.
I love my sweetheart. By the way, that's my riding lawnmower.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states. Policy terms and conditions apply.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They have called for a wrecker in that accident. 72 in East Limestone had an overturned truck there. The driver has returned to the scene, so they'll get that investigation completed quickly. Everything else is looking good this morning. You want to be careful on that trip in. Definitely put some extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong around you. Snelling has immediate direct hire opportunity for accountants with QuickBooks experience. Bookkeeping, accounts payable and receivable, and inventory accounting, all a plus. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Showers and thunderstorms this afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Some of those thunderstorms could be strong or even severe. Looks like our biggest concern is going to be heavy rain and some very gusty winds. Wind gusts in excess of 45 or 55 miles per hour. But an isolated tornado certainly can't be ruled out, especially west of the I-65 corridor. All of this is associated with a cold front. Cold front moves through the Tennessee Valley Thursday night, early into Friday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
Josh Taylor, the number 7 pound-for-pound boxer in the world and undisputed junior welterweight champion, will take on Jack Catterall in Taylor's first fight since he became the undisputed champ last May. The two will meet February 26 in Scotland. Taylor a heavy favorite, minus 1575. The challenger Catterall plus 790. Today, the Genesis Invitational underway, featuring each of the top 11 players in the world. John Rahm, the plus 1,000 favorite. Dustin Johnson and Patrick Cantlay plus 1,400. College basketball tonight, South Alabama at Coastal Carolina. The Jaguars a 1-point favorite on the road, 136 the total. Elsewhere, Troy getting 4 points at Appalachian State, the over-under 130.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 on this Thursday. Big thanks to Southeastern Recruiting's Freddie Kirby for coming in, being a special guest host, talking about Southeastern, and just really talking some ball with us. We had Jeremy Crutcher on in hour number 1. It's his Trojans are going to take on the Coleman Bearcats 1:30 tomorrow at Wallace State, Hanceville. Really looking forward to that high school basketball. Again, big-time shout-out to Huntsville High and Christian Swears. The Panthers back to the Elite Eight, 70-42 over the Vestavia Hills Rebels, ranked number 4 in the state. Got a really good program over there, but Huntsville playing very well. Caleb Harrison, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks. Man, Jamari Arnold, 19 points, and really got most of his buckets. Once again, he's like Vinnie Johnson in the second half, the old school Detroit Piston, just getting buckets, doing a great job. 11 points for Preston Busby, and then 9th grader, extraordinaire guy that's really, I call a stone killer, the best defender for the Crimson Panthers. J.D. Gossett, 9 points, 5 rebounds, did a great job making Wynn Miller and those guys earn everything. But a great outing for Huntsville High, and they will take on Chris Latch and the Spain Park Jaguars in the Elite Eight on Monday at 10:45. Great ball club over there at Spain Park, putting out a really, really, really good Sparkman team that won the N2 Hoops and the Huntsville City Classic. A great year once again for Coach Jamie Coggins and those guys. Comes up a little short, but again, a nice win, 59-46 for Spain Park, and they will take on Huntsville High on Monday. The winner going to Birmingham for the Final 48. But we're going to talk some SEC to kick off hour number 2 with one of the best in the business, a longtime friend of mine. I will not be in Tampa for the SEC tournament. I hate that. I'm sure our next guest probably will be. If not, he will definitely be watching remotely very closely. And we always like hooking up with him in his home city of Nashville when the SEC tournament is there. And that Southeastern 14 is Blake Lovell, and he's been good enough to join Freddie and I on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, Drew. How are you, my friend?
Good, sir. Really good. Good to talk some SEC hoops with you. We were kind of having this conversation to end hour number 1. But you and Chris Lee do such a great job of following this league very closely. Are we seeing some separation between the top half and the bottom half of the league now as we're reaching this last 5-game stretch?
Yeah, I think so. I think the top, I don't know. I think several of those teams in the middle have kind of reached that point where, whether that's a Mississippi State, a Florida, teams like that, I think you just don't really know what to expect anymore from those teams. And, as of right now, they're on the outside looking in when it comes to, making the NCAA tournament. So I think, the top group of Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, those 6 are, I think, just on a different level probably than everyone else. And I'll say this, we'll have a chance still, if they can beat some good teams, they'll at least have a chance to be on the bubble. But I think Vanderbilt's kind of one of those teams to keep an eye on down the stretch. They're not up there with those, top 6 or anything, but I think they're a team that could at least make things interesting. So Yeah, but I mean that top six is that's a very strong top six in this league, and that's what you want going into tournament time. So,
no question. And Vanderbilt is an interesting squad because they've gotten some guys healthy, including their big 7-foot center, and they really played Auburn tough early, and then we just saw Jabari Smith put on a performance worthy of a number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft last night, Blake.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, the score, I know it wound up being 14, but it was a little deceiving for a while there because I thought Vanderbilt did play pretty well for the most part, and it's just, what do you do with Jabari Smith? And I think that he is just, I mean, the way he can hit shots, I think it was pointed out last night, there was one where he just, basically caught the ball back to the basket and then just turned around and shot it and kind of faded away and nailed it. And those are the kind of things that at the NBA level, just be able to kind of raise up over your opponents and make those shots, that's going to make him a lot of money. So Auburn's just one of those teams that we've talked about it before, that they just got so many different guys that can contribute in different areas. And, that's a nice luxury to have, to be able to go basically 9 deep and have 2 guys that are probably 2 of the top 3 players, not just in the league, but I mean, really, 2 of the top probably 15 players nationally or so. So, that's Auburn. But I think Vanderbilt has made a lot of strides, and I think that's a team that I would not want to play down the stretch. And I know Alabama will have to do that here, in the next week or so. But that's just one of those teams that's getting better, and I think they're one that I don't believe is going to be in the NCAA tournament factor here. But they've still got 3 opportunities against Alabama, Mississippi State, and Florida. If they go 2-1 in those, then maybe win a couple games in the SEC tournament, maybe things get a little more interesting. But obviously, the road back to trying to get to 500 in the league is priority number 1. So
we're talking to Blake Lovell, Southeastern 14. Am I wrong in comparing the depth of this Auburn team? And I know you're a basketball historian too. They remind me of the '96 Kentucky team that won it all under Rick Pitino when they had guys like Antoine Walker coming off their bench. That's the thing that amazes me about Auburn. They go 9-10 deep, and there's really not a lot of drop-off.
Yeah, no, that's a good comparison because I think that, when you look at them, we've always talked about it. It seems like those teams that get to the, national championship, Final Four, somewhere in there, you've got to have those star players. Like, you've got to have a Jabari Smith and a Walker Kessler, and it's great to have both of those guys, not just one. You've got 2. But, you also have all these other guys around them that can do different things. And I think what's so important is it's not always just about being 8 or 9 deep. It's about being 8 or 9 deep with guys that complement each other and can do different things. It's not the guys that can all do the same thing. It's just you have different guys that have, those different responsibilities. And I think that's what, that's what made a team like Alabama so good last year. And I think the same with Arkansas. It's a little bit different for both those teams this year, but that's what I think when you have a team like Auburn, they just have all these guys, whether that's, Wendell Green, whether that's KD Johnson doing what he does, Alan Flanagan. I know he's still been a little up and down since he came back, but still, that was their best player on the team last year, outside of Tariq Hoover playing some. So I just think this is a team that's got a little bit of everything, and I think that's going to pay off for them once we get to March here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Blake, piggybacking off your Vanderbilt stuff, Scottie Pippen Jr., right now I think last count I had he was leading the conference in scoring, if I remember right, and everything. He's a young man that could start for any other school in the SEC and everything. That Vandy's got some pretty good pieces around him. They just don't have the Auburn type of pieces around him and everything. But come draft time on him, do you think he could turn out to be one of the biggest steals in the draft, kind of like a Herb Jones was this past year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair comparison too with that, because I mean, he is someone that, I think sometimes, like, we always think it's easy to sort of quantify what a player can do when he plays for, I don't want to say a bad team, because Vanderbilt's not bad anymore. They have been the past couple of years, but I think people always have that discussion. Well, is he putting up these numbers just because he's playing on a team that doesn't have much around him, or is he putting up these numbers because he's that good? I think it's because he's that good. And I look at him and the way he plays, I mean, he just has a natural instinct, and I think we all know why. I mean, considering what his dad accomplished, he has those natural instincts and understands, what he has to do and what plays he has to make as a point guard, as the guy that handles the ball as much as he does. So I think that's just, a scenario for him where I don't know where he winds up, getting drafted and anything like that. But I do think this is someone that, if you get him, in the second round, I don't even know where he goes. But I think that he is going to have a very successful NBA career just because his understanding of the game, just because he understands how to play his position. And when you can score like that, he is just, he can be something. So.
No doubt. Scottie Pippen Jr.'s had a great run at Vanderbilt. And as you said, Vanderbilt could be one of these, sleeper teams down the stretch, because I was asked about that yesterday, who could be a sleeper team. Certainly Vanderbilt qualifies for that. And certainly South Carolina, they get a big win on a mid-court shot at the buzzer. Frank Martin kind of fighting for his job, Blake. I don't think they're going to have enough to get into the NCAA tournament, but they certainly are staying alive here late in the season.
Yeah, South Carolina just continues to be that program that you never know what you're going to get. And I think with them, it's like, they're 6 and 7 in the league. And yet you look up and you're like, well, they've beaten Vanderbilt twice, they've beaten Georgia twice, they've beaten A&M and Ole Miss. And you're like, well, sometimes I guess that's all you have to do is just beat the teams you should beat, right? And but they haven't beaten anyone that, we expect them to pull off an upset. They haven't been able to do that. Now they'll get their opportunities because 4 games left against, borderline NCAA tournament teams. You add in Mississippi State, LSU, Mississippi State, Alabama, and Auburn. If they pull a couple upsets there, then it's a different discussion. But I think that's where with the South Carolina team, maybe it winds up just being one of those, hey, they beat the teams they should have beat. They couldn't beat anybody else. And maybe that's just what the sign of an average team. And I think maybe that's what this winds up being. As for Frank Martin, I've said for a couple of years now, I just think that for both parties, it may make sense to eventually go different ways, and we'll see if that's what happens. But I just think, we've said it before, Drew, with guys who are out of place for a long time. No matter, what you've done, no matter where things are, sometimes it's best just to split, and I can't say I'd be shocked if that happened soon. I don't know if that's this year, next year, or what, but I just think maybe that's a reset for both parties coming soon enough. But we'll see. If they get to the tournament, things change a little bit. So.
Yeah, it really does. It can change quickly. We know that because I'll never forget being with you in Nashville, and Alabama just thrashed South Carolina in the second round of the SEC tournament to reach the semifinals. Frank Martin almost stared a hole through me as I asked questions, and then before we knew it, they were in the Final Four just a couple weeks later.
Yeah, that's what they do, right? That's just kind of what you expect. So.
Yeah, but we'll see. But speaking of that, Florida, we kind of already brought them up in the beginning of the conversation. They probably have the best chance to play themselves back in and be the 7th team, but their schedule these last 5 games or so is really, really tough for the Gators.
Yeah, it is, and this is their season. There's no doubt. I think the scenario that has to play out is, look, their next 2 games are against Auburn and Arkansas. Both are at home. They have to win one of those games. Obviously, I think beating Auburn would be a even bigger boost just based on where they're at. But they got to win one of these next 2, I think. Because after that, yes, you still have Kentucky left at home. But, right now, I don't trust Florida to sweep Georgia and Vanderbilt on the road. We just talked about Vanderbilt. I think they're playing a lot better, and I think Vanderbilt can absolutely win that game. So I think if you're Florida, you really need to go 3-2 is fine, but if you can go 4-1, then you're sitting in a really good spot. But 3-2, I think, is going to put you right there on that line again, and you're still going to have some work to do in the SEC tournament. But they just put themselves in this position. They should have. Look, you're up 4 with 1.5 minutes to go against A&M. You feel like you should win that game. You don't. Those kind of games. So that's just Florida. So.
It's a really damaging loss, but it's one Buzz Williams needed desperately because they had lost 8 in a row in the league.
Yeah, and I think for A&M, it's interesting to think about because they have. All of these games really they played for the most part have been close. The Auburn one wasn't, but a lot of them have been very close, and they've been right there with a chance to win. And yet you just found a way to lose all of them. And I think this was one they were going to win eventually. And, you know, it is an interesting thing about a team that started 4-0 in the league, goes to 4-8. Quite frankly, has a chance to maybe even win their next 4 because they do have Vanderbilt, Georgia, Ole Miss. I don't think they're going to beat Alabama, but I think A&M is just one of those teams that maybe matches up okay with Alabama. It's going to be a challenge, but that's just a Buzz Williams team, right? Like, they're going to be hard-nosed. I think they're going to have a chance against anybody they play. And that's just kind of what you expect from them. So I don't think A&M will find their way back into the tournament mix by any means, but boy, they needed that one against Florida.
They certainly did. And I want to circle back to something Freddie Kirby said earlier in the show. And we just talked about Florida and how challenging the schedule is, and that, as you said, they need to get a split at home with Arkansas and Auburn coming up. Is Mike White in trouble?
I would be surprised if he's not, if they don't make the tournament. I just think at a certain point, we know what the expectations are at Florida, and we know, who he had to follow, and that's still there. I mean, that hasn't changed in my opinion. If anything, I think it's your expectation. You're not going to win back-to-back national championships anymore, but I think you also, if you're Florida, you're looking up and seeing Auburn and Alabama and Arkansas and, obviously Tennessee and Kentucky have been there for the most part. That's nothing new, but I mean, even LSU, look what LSU has done in recent years. I think you're looking up and realizing you're kind of in the bottom part of that group in terms of, if you're a top 7 SEC team,